Okay, Jim is going to talk to us about Pima County roads.
Thank you. The county has recently updated their website to include.
Project your voice.
I'm trying.
But you still have to keep that close.
Right. The county has recently upgraded our website to include directing the public to our See-Click Fix website, which is another portal that we use to report problems with the road and concerns. And that recently went live in March. So if you happen to go to our Department of Transportation website and you are interested in a maintenance concern or want to report a problem, and you look that up, it will direct you now to See-Click Fix. And there's also a mobile application that you can report problems such as potholes and things like that on the internet. And then you will receive feedback, and service response times are provided for those sorts of things. So we're pretty excited about that. It's pretty helpful, and we're getting a lot of useful comments from the public and a lot of concerns that we're being made aware of. Some of the projects that we have coming up, as you probably know, Wilmot Road was paved about 2 years ago, and we didn't know exactly how much traffic based on modeling Wilmot would pick up, but we have since counted the traffic volumes at Wilmot and Sahuarita and determined that a signal is warranted at that intersection. And since then, the RTA has provided us with funding to signalize that intersection. It currently has street lighting, but we would be adding signalization, and we're getting ready to hire a consultant to start the design of that signal. We've also got quite a few projects along Houghton Road, and I should say that Houghton Road that is kind of mixed up. There's a lot of sections that are county and a lot of sections that are city, and they jump around. So you may be driving down the road and think, well, this is something that is in the county section or it's in the cities, and that's not clear because it changes several times. So there's a lot of projects that we coordinate with the city, and we have agreements to work on those. And one of those, the section from Andrada to Sahuarita Road is in the county, and we added shoulders to that, paved shoulders to that 2 years ago. We have an agreement with the city to advertise a project and construct paved shoulders from Andrada up to the Polytechnical High School. That's within the city, but the county is going to be constructing those paved shoulders. North of that, the county administrator would like to widen Houghton Road to a 4-lane section from the high school up to the interstate. And he's tasked us with coming up with a preliminary design and determining how much that might cost so that we can look at the various sources of funding that we have within our grasp and outside of our grasp to see what it would take to widen Houghton from the high school up to the freeway, which would tie in with the ADOT interchange. So that's pretty exciting. That we're thinking it would probably cost around $30 million to do that. So it'll be a pretty substantial project. Another project that we have going on at the county is a developer project to extend Valencia Road to Old Spanish Trail, and that is out for bids. It'll be built by the developer, and that should be coming. We have the funding set up to get that going later this year. We also have several projects in District 4, and I got to look at my list because I'm starting to get nervous here. But we have gas tax money that was set aside for this coming fiscal year, and there's 4 projects in District 4 that are part of that are coming out. And the first one is Old Spanish Trail from Pistol Hill to the Colossal Cave Regional Park, and that's going to mill and replace the existing pavement. All of these are paving projects. There's a little piece of Mount Lemon Short Road that we're Hi.
Hi, and JJ Lamb. I just wanted to, I had a question of clarification. So the Colossal Cave Road and the Old Spanish Trail, is that Old Spanish Trail just being paved up to the boundary of the regional park, or is the road inside the regional park being paved?
I don't think it's inside the park. I think it's up to it.
Okay, I would just advocate for that road to be paved.
I just like,
Oh,
that's the
he's
problem.
blinded. He's blinded by the sun. Oh, I'll just say, as a longtime Vail resident and the president and CEO of Vail Preservation Society, Colossal Cave is actually at the north end of an Arizona designated main street. And it is a huge economic driver for all of Pima County and the region. So I just want to put in a word for that road being paved.
Thank you.
My name is Jean Hawley, and I live in Rancho del Lago in Vail. And you mentioned that there were a number of intersections that would require stoplights, but I don't hear a mention of traffic circles, which would improve the traffic flow as opposed to actual stoppage with the lights. Have you considered them, and will they be?
Well, so we do consider traffic circles, and we have a program that we developed to analyze the traffic circle in terms of function and benefit cost ratios so that we can determine whether or not a traffic circle is the best application of, for a particular location. The location at Wilmot and Sarita was considered for a traffic circle, but it ended up, it was more expensive to build that way because we would have had to do a lot more drainage work. So that was the reason that one didn't come out that way. As far as other intersections, we really don't have money right now to improve a significant number of intersections or anything set aside at this time.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Graham. I live in Vail. I've been here about 19 years. Something I want to start off saying is I'm pretty inspired by what I see here today. It's a room full of concerned citizens, and I think that they all remind me saying that this meeting and these types of meetings are all about three things: transparency, planning, and of course, results. So we're communicating, and I see that there's a lot of people who are very passionate about their questions and the things that they want to bring to your attention. One of the things that I would like is if you could describe the criteria that's being used. It would probably help a lot of people. Some of the times when you get into projects, like the projects you handle every day, you don't know what the litmus test is, the regular citizen. You don't know how the priorities are assigned. You mentioned Supervisor Christie helped clarify that it's going to be community roads. The whole $15 million is going to be spent on, which goes pretty fast. We don't know what the criteria is. We also don't know what does that mean for our community. When might Vail, in my opinion, get roads repaved? Because there's some roads that are already resurfaced, but not the entire community. So those things would help. I'm a very willing change agent. I want to make that clear. One of the things that I think will help everybody is to be responsible and assist in any way that you can. We understand that things are, tough. From time to time you have to juggle, but results come from collaboration. No one person can do everything. So we all have a stake in this. And of course, again, prioritizing the triage that's needed and the constraints that are involved. We don't always appreciate and know that. So it's frustrating at times to keep waiting. But when you explain it sort of helps. So I live in Vail, Del Lago. There's a community that I love. I think it's paradise. But when it comes to the resurfacing, I don't know what to tell my lovely wife who keeps asking, well, how come their roads got paved? Babe, I don't know. I'll try to find out. But those are some of the common questions that I think are facing you. I'm sure there's some other priority questions that are going to come up later this evening. But I just wanted to point out that I'm here today because this is going to be a journey. This is going to be a process that's not going to happen overnight. but with some open-minded approaches and some reasonable expectations, I think we can get a lot of these things taken care of in a pretty efficient manner. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. As far as what's going on specifically with paving in Vail, we did do a microsurfacing project in Vail that was all of Loma Alta Road and a portion of Old Spanish Trail last year. This year we have the section that's going to get milled out that I mentioned on Old Spanish Trail from Pistol Hill to the park. We don't have a lot more than that to go around. But we do, you know, we're constrained by where our funding comes from and where we're allowed to spend that funding. So, and we have flexibility in that, and sometimes we don't. Where we have flexibility in that, that's where we have our Transportation Advisory Committee that helps us determine where the public would like to best spend that money and help us find other sources of funds. And I would encourage you to attend those Transportation Advisory Committees, because there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of public comment there, and you know, it's a very helpful meeting for people that have questions just to keep track of. On our website, there's also a link to all of the minutes and the handouts and things that have been given out during the last couple years that we've held our Transportation Advisory Committee. So there's a lot of good information there, and really we're, you know, as a DOT, we're given tasks by the advisory committee, and we bring back the information in the way that they ask us to do that. They say, hey, what if we prioritize this way? What would that look like? We'd like to see that. So then we work through some of those different scenarios, and we bring it back to the advisory committee, and they make decisions, and they just did that this year. They made a decision on how we're going to spend our money this year. It wasn't a lot to go around, but it's a start, and you know, and we get our input from the public, and it definitely has a weight on how that advisory committee decides to act.
And I'm chair of the Pima County Transportation Advisory Committee, and last year when there were funds that were available, we actually had a roads working group from each one of the 3 regions that sat down. Again, the county staff was very helpful in coming out, and we were literally poring over maps and prioritizing the roads in our area. So, and many of you were a part of that process and a key part of that process. And so that will continue. Our biggest challenge right now is just money. That, you know, there just isn't enough money to do all that we need to do, but this is a good first step. I really appreciate your comments and appreciate you guys coming. So